Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. And today we're just going to cover the caption on this post. I think it's interesting. This is a therapist, I guess. I'm going to classify her as a runner. Just basically, I'm not looking too deep into her. I think it's just the overall concept. And I just want to address a couple of things, and then we'll go through the different points on the caption. The what it says on the video, which it uses Olivia Rodrigo's The Cure. That's how it came up on my feed, of course. It says things women with quote unquote just insecurity do that are actually diet culture damage. So on this channel, because of YouTube censorship and collaboration with NIDA, which is an E followed by the letter D charity organization that dictates what is triggering to the public and what isn't, basically, which basically they just encourage weight gain. I don't know how else to say it. I have videos about it on my channel. You can also look up Compulsive Rambler. She's done a deep dive on NIDA, who is telling YouTube what to censor. But regardless, I have to use a different term for E followed by the letter D. So I use the toxic ritualistic on my channel all the time. So if you come across my videos, you'll hear it like 50,000 times, okay? Because it's basically what I cover, and I've been doing a lot this year in terms of how they fight. And this person is what I call a runner, which is basically somebody who enables, or somebody who's overly empathetic or clouds the true meaning of what is going on, and basically makes it harder to treat, makes it harder to get out of, basically. So there's a lot of clouding of the issue within what I call the zombie horde, which is people who are, in the problem or enabling the problem, basically. And I do think she believes these things. That's why she's a zombie. She's not just a grifter or whatever. She believes it. But my issue with the immediate framing of diet culture damage and women, so the things women with just insecurity do that are actually diet culture damage, it enables women in general to project that they have a problem, which a lot of times people would think, oh, that's not a big deal. It's okay. It's always safer to assume that you have E followed by the letter D rather than not. But no, because it actually clouds the meaning of it. And there is a diagnostic criteria that needs to be reached for it to be a serious issue, or for it to be a serious enough issue. Because if people feel that they have one or they have had one and they never did, then they will assume that it's not as severe in somebody else. And then what you have is you have a lot of people fighting with or trying to, I guess, critique, get in the grill of especially women that don't even have an issue. But then when a woman does actually have an issue, then you're not allowed to talk about women's bodies. So it's a very quick bait and switch. So you see this going on a lot with Ariana Grande right now. But it happens all the time. So it's because people that have the problem, they want to hide it. So one way to hide it is to make it seem like everybody has it, or that it's normal. So they attempt to normalize it. So that's what this caption is doing. It's trying to normalize insecurity as toxic ritualistic, aka E followed by the letter D, which no, insecurity is not that at all. With the toxic ritualistic, there's a pattern of behavior. There are things that happen to your body physically as a result of what you're doing. There are mental pathways and loops that are created through repetitious behaviors that happen over a long period of time. Typically, it's at least 3 months. I know within BINGE, it's 3 months. So it's quite a while. It's not something that can happen just in a day, or, oh my gosh, I overdid it today. I guess I have an E followed by letter D, or, oh my gosh, I skipped a meal. I guess I have E followed by letter D. No. So you have to have a criteria met. So let's go ahead and look at this Just insecurity, quote unquote, is one of the most dismissive things we say about women who are suffering. Here's what diet culture damage actually looks like. So let's look at the term diet culture damage. What does this do? This frames the idea that anybody looking to downsize automatically has E followed by letter D. Anybody looking to downsize automatically has a problem or a serious issue. So therefore, if you do, you must be scrutinized much harsher than somebody who's overdoing it. By the way, sorry if there's any background noise. I'm making a roast right now, and it's like doing its thing for a second. So sorry. But anyways, so when you do that, it's a way that obesity is enforced, especially towards women and especially in the United States. And to me, it's very bizarre culturally to be enforcing obesity as like healthy or important or the best thing for you, basically, when nothing could be further from the truth. But when it comes to diet culture damage, it frames the idea that eating cottage cheese and rice cakes is going to damage you. That's what people think of. So it's basically a way of undermining any and all downsizing efforts for anyone at all. So that's why I don't like it. Because diet culture is not a mental illness. It's like a cheesy thing that people do that you can go too far with it. You can definitely have a mental illness and be engaging in diet culture, but you can also not. So it's a separate issue. Anyways, so here's what diet culture damage actually looks like. 1, apologizing before you eat in front of people just in case they're judging you. So again, this is more so toxic ritualistic stuff. So this is more like if you really have a fervence, if you're serious when you are going to have something in front of people and you really have to apologize, like to a point where it's like a compulsion or you're really having like anxiety over it to, a palpable degree, like you can feel it in your body that you're really anxious, you might have E followed by letter D. So, if it's something you're just saying because you're corny, that's not the same thing then. If it's just like, I'm just saying this, but I don't mean it, then no. You see? So you have to consider that, which you can usually, even if you're observing someone else, you can kind of tell if somebody's making a big joke about it or if they're like sweating it, if they're like, 2, feeling like you have to earn rest, fun, or new clothes based on how your body looks. So this is definitely TR. I think the idea that you have to, I don't know, like earn rest or fun based on your body size. That is pretty wild. That's a wild concept. I could see it based on an effort amount or based on how much time you've had to rest, things like that. Like I think you do have to rest, but you also have to work. I think it's that kind of thing. So you have to try to find that balance. And we have different seasons of life. We have busier seasons of life. We have more restful seasons of life. That's okay. But if you're especially tying it to your body, that is TR. I'll put it to you that way. It should not be tied to that. If anything, it would be tied to like work projects, certain like quotas or something. For example, if you have a quarterly quota, you have to do a lot. Or like with school, you have finals, right? There's more stress during finals season. Things like that. That's not TR. But if it's like, I look a certain way today, so I can't rest, or I don't, so I can, or whatever, that is definitely TR. I'm just going to say that. That's wild. Complimenting someone's downsizing without knowing if it's a compliment. So I don't think this is a big deal. I think this is just one of those things where they're trying to discourage any and all downsizing. So this is an obesity enforcement thing. So she's just putting that in there. So my whole thing about complimenting weight loss or downsizing is just, I think it depends on the context. I'm very much a like people should be able to live type of thing. I wouldn't personally do it all the time if I don't know somebody, just because I don't know if it would be triggering to them. But I have more knowledge on the toxic ritualistic than the average person. The average person, though, I think should be able to live their life. And I think as somebody who is recovering or as somebody who has recovered, it's up to you to deal with triggers. You have to get used to the idea that you can't control these conversations. Trying to control these conversations is TR. It's toxic ritualistic. Trying to control perception of how your body is seen is TR. So these are things you can't actually control. So it's kind of delulu, you know? And again, people can have a comment on what somebody is saying. That's different, but you have to think of the emotional quality behind it. Is there a fervence? Is there a, this is going to ruin my entire day? Is there a, this person must effing understand where I'm coming from? If you feel that way, it's giving TR, you know, then you probably have a problem. If it's just like a passing, like, yeah, I don't know, I wouldn't really say that, that's not really what I'm talking about. Not being able to accept a compliment without redirecting it to something you hate about yourself. So this has nothing to do with diet culture. I think this is just basic low self-worth or low self-esteem. So I don't understand. Well, I guess I do understand why she's lumping that in, because she's trying to tell you that if you are an insecure person, or if you do have low self-worth, or if you do have self-esteem issues, that you automatically have E followed by letter D. She's trying to kind of inflate the numbers here. In my opinion, it's a part of that, hiding it, making it very common. It's very common to have a moment where you don't want to accept a compliment. If you're just insecure, it could have nothing to do with an E followed by letter D. It could have nothing to do with anything regarding body size or anything. It could just be a general trait that you have that you probably should work on, but it's not related to diet culture whatsoever. 5, believing your body is the problem, not the culture that taught you to see it that way. So this is a very big part of the zombie horde. They are really trying to push that culture has normalized E followed by letter D, that the culture encourages it all the time. That's not true. It's not true at all. It's people that have the issue that do encourage it, or people that are enablers like she is, that contribute to it, or that enforce it, or promote it. Most people do not promote it. It's seen as bizarre. It's seen as bad. It's seen as gross in a lot of cases to have the TR. Most people see it as freakish. So this idea that it's normalized or that everybody loves it, no, it's false. So the culture does not teach you to see your body as a problem. The culture, it's E followed by letter D culture. It's not the culture in general. The culture in general, like I said, in the US, it's really lax in terms of weight. It's extremely lax. Too lax, in my opinion. So it's actually the opposite, where it's not even that it's too lax, it's that you are enforced to be obese in the United States. So it's actually the opposite of what they're saying. So, you know, celebrity culture might be a certain thing. I think there's a lot of toxic ritualistic elements within the celebrity culture, but general American culture, no. It's ridiculous. I think it's actually the opposite. So you're always taught that your body is not the problem. You're always taught that your weight is not the problem, to a detriment. So to a point where it's ridiculous. It's like gone completely the opposite direction. And it's like sometimes it really is just that you're over what you should be. It's the same thing with being under. It is a problem. So no, just no. 6, thinking confidence is something you get after you downsize. So I think this, I don't think so. I think that if, in terms of E followed by letter D, this would be so subclinical. Like, I think people in the TR do feel this way, but there's a lot of people that are not in it that feel that way too. So I think it's really up to the person. I don't think it's really worth putting in this list. It's just like, it's something, it's like an individual thing. It's like, it'd be like saying, thinking that downsizing won't give you confidence is diet culture damage or something. It's like, it's just too general of a statement and it's too individual, I think. So I think that's just an overgeneralization. And I think it's also a way to pad the numbers and think, oh, if you think this, then you have EFOB at letter D, or you have a problem, you see, or you're a part of this, so you need to join us in fighting it, you see. That's a way to pad the numbers. 7, comparing your body to every woman who walks into the room. This is very TR. So if you are doing this all the time, you probably have a problem. Like, I will say that. Like, especially if there's some behavioral shifts around what you're doing, if there's some toxic ritualistic behaviors going on and you're doing this all the time, you likely have EFOB at letter D. So this is bad. That's not normal. So, and people are probably like, what? That's not normal? It's not. It might be something that you've done forever. I used to do it all the time. I wouldn't necessarily compare to every woman, but I just compare to everybody, basically. A lot of times with BINGE, you're just trying to see who the biggest person in the room is. And you're trying to see if you're okay because somebody is bigger than you. Like, if it's safe for you or something. It sounds crazy, but that's what it tends to be. So I know other ones are different, but that was my experience of it. So regardless, constantly comparing, that is super TR. Very, very TR. Specifically about weight, though. Like, let me be clear on that. 8, feeling guilty for not hating your body less by now. That's such a weird, this is a very zombified statement. This is where we're getting into like zombie slog slush. This is bizarre. This is a bizarre thing to say. It almost makes me question if she has an issue because it's just very bizarre. But she probably doesn't. It's probably subclinical if she does. So probably not really, but that's like a zombie statement. Like, I call them zombies. And it's like, sometimes there's just like, that's what it sounds like. So to me, that's what that is. So I can't even really entertain it. Okay, so number 9, assuming thin women have it all figured out emotionally. So this, I don't know. This could be a little bit TR. So I think you have to like look at it. Yeah, I think there's a little bit of that. So if you really think that thinness is the be all end all and it's everything in life and it's on this pedestal in your mind, you might have a problem. So again, look at those behaviors that you're doing. And if you have this belief or you get there and then it's not what you wanted, and so then you upsize drastically, you probably are in the TR. You probably have a problem. That's not correct. That is not a correct assumption. 10, never feeling like you're doing enough, eating clean enough, moving enough, shrinking enough. So this is definitely TR too. I would say this is TR. So if you genuinely never feel like it's enough, that is EFOB by letter D. And again, there's those behaviors behind it. There's actions being taken, right? Yeah. This is what decades of diet culture does to a person. You were taught to feel this way. You can unlearn it. So not really. So EFOB by letter D, it is something that it is modeled, so it can be something that you mimic or that you are exposed to, and then you mimic it, basically. But it's not like explicitly taught in society. It's taught within E follow letter D spaces and taught within people that have the issue, so they will teach it. But again, it's not all of society. So we need to like differentiate that when we talk about it. It's like there's a lot of people that have these issues in Hollywood. There's a lot of people that have these issues within families, right? And things like that. So that's where it's taught. It's stuff like that. So it's usually media based. There's plenty of people on social media that have the issue that will teach it too, but it's usually through mimicry, and it's not usually explicit, and you go to it due to trauma or extreme physical stress. So it's like, and when I mean extreme physical stress, I mean like you're not sleeping a lot for like months, right? You're getting like 2 or 3 hours of sleep for months, or you're working 80 hours a week and you're like exhausted all the time, like that kind of thing. Or you have periods where you don't have access to food, and those types of very physically stressful environments can cause something, because you can kind of get a little bit not delulu, but like delirious from the chronic physical stress, but it's usually more mild in that case. Or obviously trauma is involved, and when trauma is involved, it can be mild, but it can be severe too. It depends. And then somebody mild can always become severe if something else happens on top of it, right? So then if another thing happens, and then you go for it. So yeah, you can unlearn it, but I don't think you're going to unlearn it. You have to reject it entirely, basically. You have to burn it all down. And a lot of times this is like a wolf in sheep's clothing. She was not going to help. So you have to embrace caloric realism. You have to have reasonable beliefs about your body, reasonable expectations. You have to stop the obsession loops. You have to stop like constantly thinking about the same thing all of the time, the mere obsession, all that stuff. You have to stop that. So there's a lot of behaviors that you have to cease. You have to stop doing those behaviors. And then you have to like let it go, which is hard, and you have to reject it. And a lot of people identify with them. And so that's really hard, but you have to stop. And that's how you get rid of it. And somebody coddling the issue or infantilizing you is not necessarily going to help. However, I don't think shaming helps either. So there's a balance to be struck. But I hope that was clear enough. I will talk to you guys later. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. I will see you guys soon. Have a good one. Bye.